It does the same thing.
Ready, Jason? Okay, thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call the Borough Council meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda by posting a copy of the notice in the municipal building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune, and by filing a copy in the office of the Borough Clerk. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Here.
Councilman Peretti.
Here.
Councilman Potter.
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Here.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in a moment of silence, followed by a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so now I am going to come down there because we have a special occasion. We have 2 championship teams. I'm going to read the proclamation and then we'll let the coaches. I'm going to put them.
Yep. This is 10. And the one on the bottom is the, yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice to see you all tonight for a very good reason. So I have an official proclamation. Whereas the Milltown Little League baseball program has a rich tradition of excellence and accomplishment in competition, reflecting the highest ideals of hard work, training, and sportsmanship. And whereas the Milltown Little League 10U baseball team captured the New Jersey Little League District 10 championship for the first time ever, and whereas the Milltown Little League 12U baseball team went 8-2 overall in district games, captured the New Jersey Little League District 10 championship, and won Milltown's 5th Little League district title. And whereas, in the words of former Major League player Curt Schilling, baseball is not a sport you can achieve individually. Now, therefore, in honor and appreciation for the accomplishments of Milltown Little League Baseball District 10, and the dedication and support of their coaches and parents, I, Trina Mayer, Mayor of the Borough of Milltown, along with the Borough Council, do hereby congratulate the 2023 Milltown Little League 10U baseball team and urge the 12U and urge the citizens of Milltown Borough to recognize the exemplary standard these talented athletes have set with their commitment and dedication to their craft. So congratulations to you. The 10U coach to come up and present each of his players an individual.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so when I call your name, please come up. Let's go with the other 10U folder.
Well done. That's funny.
All right, CJ Allegra.
Stay up here. We'll take a picture.
Stay up here. Sufi Aswar. Derek Boatman. Connor Boyd. Anthony Saipat. Antonio da Silva. Joey DeStefano. Declan Duffy. Nicholas Durkin. Alex Farmer. Maddox Hall. And I do also want to recognize Bo Chakowski. He no longer is a Milltown resident. After winning the 10U championship, he took his talents down to Florida and is now a Florida resident. So, thank you. We got our banner too, actually. We came prepared. Hey guys, let's hold this up too.
It's a nice banner, yeah. Never had it.
And now we'll invite the 12U coach up to announce his team. Wait.
Thank you. All right, first I'd like to acknowledge my coaches, Frank Calandruzio and Pete Lewandowski. Jack Abrams. Connor Buckley. CC Calandruzio. Harrison Krieger. AK-47 Aiden Kunda. Kayla Lewandowski. PJ McGinnis. Here. Okay, let's see. Will Shatorsky, who is not here currently, he's not here, but he was a big part of our team. So let's give a hand for Will. We are. Oh, no. Okay, here we go. All right, Jack Ketcher. Anthony DeVito. Robert Spacuzzo. Ryan Forney. And Gavin Skamaka.
Hey guys, let's get organized back up a little bit, spread out a little bit. I see everybody's face, guys.
Yeah. We should have had the PCR. It's getting warm. What's everybody going? Still 62.
I'll take it. Dave can say.
And now for the main event.
Yeah, not this one. Big young.
You need only looking this way, not leaning down. Straight up. Ready? Wesley from alone. Now look up, down, this way.
You don't want to stay. That's it? Everyone's leaving? You guys are the only reason I came here today.
Take care. How many more years? And how many more years do you have? A little bit is gone, but now we're going to 13 years with stuff like that. Okay. Congrats.
Congratulations.
I heard. Yeah, I heard.
My father watches Lily World Series every year. Loves John.
I can see her. I mean, I know she's on the, right now, she's on the Rec Advisory Council. Yeah, she's part of the Rec Advisory Council. What's that? Yeah.
She's on the education.
Yep. Yeah. So she told me that. Exactly. No, I meant
in that position, just happened to be like the same department. In the same category? Wow. I think so, but it wasn't the same person.
Yeah.
The same department. Just wouldn't hurt. I know she's a fan of that.
You want to do the best you can.
yeah. Yeah.
And then everyone won't. Right. Here.
Yeah, no.
I've seen last couple of people.
Yeah.
Hey, George.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Okay. Sadly, we don't get to go for pizza with the Little League. We're going to stay and do the rest of the meeting.
It's my pizza.
So as soon as
Did I
the...
hear a motion to adjourn?
Both.
Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
worth a shot?
Yeah.
All right. So now we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. We will move on to public comments on resolutions. If you wish to speak on any of the resolutions listed, please step up to the microphone and say your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close public comments and move on to the approval of minutes. We're approving minutes for the following meetings: August 21st, 2023, regular meeting, August 21st, 2023, executive session, and September 12th, 2023, regular meeting. Any comments or corrections? Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilman Collins. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Will the clerk please read Resolution 247, 2023, authorizing bill payment by title only?
Resolution
Thank you.
247, 2023, authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $3,097,620.20.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that the bill list be approved as typed.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Council President Zambrano. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm just curious about two line items on here. Because
it was brought up recently in public that the borough does not pay for the Ford Avenue litigation. And I see on here, in part of Mr. Vignolo's fee of $11,000 for this month, for this meeting, some Ford Avenue litigation, and that would be on page 15. And I did see another one on here. I apologize, I'm looking for my highlighter mark. But there was another legal fee in here, bringing the total out of this bills list to $7,595.48 for litigation fees for Ford Avenue. I don't know if this is a typo in regards to, we just kind of threw it into that bucket of Ford Avenue litigation, or if there has to do with other matters and we just didn't have a subheading for it. But I just wanted to be clear that these are in fact coming out of the tax dollars, because that would bring the total for all items in the bills and claims based on this one as well as the September 7th meeting for $18,997.98 associated with the Ford Avenue litigation. So I would just like to get some clarification on that if possible.
Who wants to clarify? Or shall I?
So, would you like to say anything, or? I can indicate that if it's, I have bills that are submitted for Ford Avenue litigation and other matters related to Ford Avenue, so.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that the town doesn't pay for Ford Avenue
No, I heard it
Litigation
recently and I thought maybe I was
related to their
hearing
own
things.
borough
I know,
attorney.
so I will answer
So-
that. We have many litigation regarding that. So Mr.
Yeah.
Vignolo might have to deal with a little. In fact, tonight we have an executive session for some more litigation matters. The majority, the vast majority is through the redevelopment agency. However, the borough does have certain responsibilities, such as that other litigation that's tangential to the redeveloper that they would have to pay their attorneys for. We also have the affordable housing attorney, we have the bankruptcy attorney, all to try and move that situation along. So I don't know, if somebody said the majority were done, but just to make it clear, obviously there are some legal expenses to do with anything that's going on in Milltown, not just Ford Avenue. Anyone else have anything about the bills?
No, I have a question too, Madam Mayor. It
Okay.
says the underground on page 17, underground utilities corp, water system improvements, is that bonded or is that $399,048.31?
I'll let our engineer answer
I
that.
believe that's the water line work that's going on.
Oh, okay, so that's bonded, right? Is
That's
that
my
bonded?
understanding, correct.
Okay.
Anyone
Also,
else?
as you may remember, we received grant funds from the state of New Jersey to offset the cost.
Right.
So you may have bonded them just to create an account for them, but they're being paid through the grant.
Thanks, Mike.
Anything else? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
So moved, the resolution is adopted. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. A consent resolution has been prepared for the resolutions listed on the agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and, having been reviewed by the Borough Council, will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of funds. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number and it would be pulled from the consent resolution.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull 252-2023, because we just got this map. Wait, Mike?
252, okay.
And I would like to pull 250 also, please.
250 and 252. Anyone else? All right. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting, and upon certain conditions, And whereas each of the following resolutions, motions, or proclamations to be presented before the Borough Council at its September 26, 2023 regular meeting appear to have the unanimous approval of all members of the Borough Council. Resolution 249, 2023, 251, 2023, 253, 2023, and 254, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown that each of the above listed resolutions, motions, or proclamations be approved and adopted by the Borough Council with the same legal effect as though each was read in its entirety at the September 26, 2023 regular meeting and adopted by separate vote.
We've heard the reading of this consent resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, make a motion that these resolutions be adopted.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
All right.
So moved. Will the clerk please read Resolution 250, 2023 by title?
Appointing risk manager for Borough of Milltown.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that this resolution be amended to indicate the term of service to expire on December 31st, 2023.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. In the whereas.
Yes.
If that requires a second that. I don't know if that amended.
So we don't have a second for that, so any other?
Councilman Peretti just did.
To
Oh,
amend
I'm
it in
sorry.
2023, I'll second that.
Oh, sorry.
It does say that there's no compensation for calendar year 2023. So I'm kind of confused why we need to put in a 12/31/2023 date. Calendar year is the end of 2023?
Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I mean, we typically don't appoint professionals to follow into the next year. All of our professionals that are appointed expire on the December 31st of the current year.
Which is the same as calendar year, end of year calendar year 2023.
I'm sorry?
It's the same. The end of calendar year 2023 is the same as 12/31/2023.
Correct.
But you want to put in 12/31/2023, even though it's the same.
It doesn't say that. It says 2024.
In the whereas line, right before now, therefore be resolved, that says
Seventh.
2024.
Seventh whereas down.
which it might
I
be-
think Ms. Larison indicated at last meeting that she was looking for the council to appoint them for the balance of 2023 and 2024, just to clarify.
Just to clarify, yeah.
Yeah, so, and this is one of the positions for which a municipal body is permitted to award a contract in excess of 1 year. So this type of service is one.
Sorry, say that again, Peter, so this is,
This is one of the exceptions to the standard 1-year term. I believe that insurance, including purchase of insurance coverage, risk management program, related services, are all fall within an area in which you can appoint for a term not to exceed 3 years. So this is something that you can award this for if you would like to. I'm not saying you have to, I'm just giving you the information.
and can I ask a question? This
Sure.
person, this individual or other individuals, like you said, could be appointed yearly.
They could be.
They could. So this individual could just, on the January, in the reorg, could just very well just do another bundle resolution as well. Theoretically, I'm just saying.
I don't have the proposal in front of me
Okay.
and what it was, so I
Okay.
don't know.
But is it my understanding that we need this position in order to procure new insurance?
We don't start the new JIF until
Till
January
one-
1st,
yeah, until 1/1.
2024.
Exactly, exactly.
All we need is someone to sign papers in the interim, and quite frankly, from what Ms. Larison said at the last meeting, it doesn't require us to sign papers for the new JIF just in order to cancel our existing JIF, which I believe is the only reason this is in front of us tonight.
So, Peter, we're going to vote on the amendment first?
You can vote to amend, I guess would be the first item you'll take,
Okay.
and then you'll vote on an amended resolution.
Okay, so the first vote will be if we want to amend the existing resolution.
And I hope the only vote.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
I'll be abstaining.
Councilman Peretti?
Aye.
Councilman Potter?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
And we need a second, the different vote to,
Yeah, you have, all you've done is amended the
So we need a
form of that
second.
resolution.
I make a motion that this resolution, amended resolution be adopted then.
That's what we just voted on, that was.
No, it was not.
No,
That was the motion, I made a motion.
You made a motion to amend the resolution.
Okay, and so now
you
we're gonna-
amended the resolution.
Adopt.
Now we're
you
gonna
need to
adopt the
vote
amended
to adopt the amended resolution.
I said,
Because
all right.
if the amendment to the resolution was shot down, then you'd be moving the first resolution.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adopt the now amended resolution.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilman Peretti, second by Councilman Revelinsky. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Abstaining.
Councilman Peretti?
Aye.
Councilman Potter?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Will the clerk read Resolution 252, 2023 by title?
Authorizing CME Engineering to proceed with certain projects, 2023 Albert Avenue Bike Path.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
I move that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Peretti, second by Councilman Potter. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I got the map here. Are they gonna knock any trees down here on Hill Street?
Yeah, I have this set for discussion during my report, but certainly we can talk about it. The concern we have is the trees on Hill Street and trying to basically install a walkway without disturbing them. So really what we brought tonight really is a progress print. You can see some of the location of walkways and what the overall grant was for. And yes, the trees along Hill Street, what we're doing is we have our survey crews set up to go out and start locating the trees and see if we can go through and save as many as possible. Some of them are older trees that we want to look at, which we'll make a recommendation once we get them all tied down. Okay? If you take a look at the corner of Albert and Hill, there's a storm sewer that's been there for some time. We need to push that out a little bit to get so close to the walkway, which will be an improvement. And then the trees on Hill Street, as we run across the back of the soccer and the ball field, we want to try and really get what's called a clear zone around the field, but also minimize the tree removal on the wooded section side. So there's some challenges here, like any project, but that's why we thought we brought it. Any comments, you don't need to have to give to me tonight. You can go through and have them at a subsequent meeting, or anything you have, we're happy to get feedback. But this is the general location. As I said, it's a progress print, concept plan. We still have much to do here. But, and you know, obviously with any walkway, even though it's going to be flush to the ground, it becomes a potential impediment for the field that you're going to have.
You know, I'm trying to save as many trees as I can on Hill Street, because I'm sure the neighbors are gonna complain if they have to look
I
at the
agree.
ball field.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, it may be that we have to push it right along the curb and live with it there. So that may be an option too. The bike path is proposed at 8 foot wide now. And remember, we have a grade issue too, we have to be careful about.
Right.
So that we don't have the slope that's excessive. So all these things are being looked at. Unfortunately, the old days of putting walkways in, it's gotten more complicated.
Unfortunately.
Anyone else?
I was hoping you could go more towards the ball field, you know, I mean, more towards the soccer field than, because it would also give people a place to sit, but I don't know if you could do it grade-wise, you know, that's the problem.
Yeah, and the problem is that the walkway becomes an obstruction in what's called the clear zone, and that's the problem, which is an area that around the play field. So if for example, in soccer, I'm sure you've seen soccer, and you played soccer, the ball is continually going outside the line, and you know, there's play in that grass area. There's a walkway that the person or the player can slip in.
Hazard, yeah.
Mike, a couple questions. I had other questions in regards to the resolution, but since we're diving into the plan that you've provided, are the limits of the existing soccer field, are those drawn to scale, or did you just kind of throw them in there for diagrammatical purposes?
No, they're drawn to scale. What we're trying to, one of the things, remember, this is an initial sketch. The next phase is to start talking to your recreation folks, first with Ralph, to see what type of play they're looking to do there. We had some involvement in the layout of this soccer field many, many years ago, maybe 30 or 40 years ago. So we know a little bit of the dimension. But the question is what really game type are they playing there? The other thing with the ball field is it's softball, or is it to sometimes play hardball there, and then we'll try to go through and lay those fields in with those dimensions. But like I said, this is an advanced copy of all those things that could be laid out and determined still.
Yeah, because there are a few things looking at this now that I'm wondering if this is, well, let me get back to the resolution. The resolution, we have a $250,000 grant,
That's
and then about $59,500 in engineering design, construction administrative services, et cetera.
And it's only an estimate, that's obviously top side.
Yeah, I don't see on here a limit not to exceed, which was my first question, and I wasn't sure how far along you were with the designs to really have a better grasp on these numbers.
I'd say, Rich, we're really about 10% right now. We're trying to minimize our cost, but as I said, there's more here than just constructing a walkway. And remember, because you've got funds from the DOT, there's a certain level of engineering issues we have to deal with them, for sure, for the grant project.
I also wanted to just, out of curiosity, based on current construction costs that you've seen coming through your office, is it feasible to think that the $250,000 would get us at a bare minimum the plan that's shown here tonight?
We believe so. As you know, we were trying to add in some storm sewer because there's a drainage issue that occurs at the driveway entrance. We're not sure we're going to be able to do that. We might be able to get a structure so that it can be extended later on. But remember, these dollars are, they're basically set for only the bike path. So if you try to do some other things, you have to get approval from the Trenton. So, but there is a storm sewer need there that with a small pipe extension, can really clear up a lot of erosion problems the borough's having. And if we can squeak that in, we're going to try.
Okay. I mean, I notice on here that you have the crosswalk that we had previously discussed, which I appreciate, that crosses Hill Street at Desmet and allows for safe crossing over there. I was just wondering, the reason I ask about the amount of funding there and if we can achieve this is if it behooves us to have some addition and deduction items on there, because we talked about possibly being able to go further with the dollar amounts allocated from the state, from the grant, whether that be towards the Schwendeman cabin, another loop around the playground area, and possibly paving it down towards the gazebos, at least as an entryway. And anything else, obviously, that we could accomplish. So I just want to be aware of that, and know we've gotten caught with our pants down in the past with having some, lump sum contracts that came in too high, and if we can have some add and deduct items that allow us to maximize the utilization of that DOT funds and possibly get a little bit more out of it and stretch the dollar, that'd be great.
As we continue through the process here, and it's not like designing your substation, but there's some things here that have to be concentrated on. We'll start running numbers. Grading is an issue, obviously, that affects the cost. We'll take a look if there's some money left. We'll come back to you folks and decide, would you rather extend the storm sewer or would you rather extend the walk? And we can put deletion items or alternate items in and to use really all the dollars. I think that's what's most important. You got a grant, you want to use as much as you can.
Yep.
And that's what our goal is.
And based on the preliminary information that we have, and if we adopt the resolution tonight, what do you think your time frame is for finalizing plans and being able to go out to bid?
Well, our goal is to get it done by year end and try to bid it maybe in January, so when the weather warms up in March or April, the contracts start right away. You got ball field games, I'm sure it's going to work around those two.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mike, I had two questions for you. On the lower left-hand side, outfall extension with proposed flared extension and outfall mattress, not familiar with what that is. The lower left
Yeah, I
of
see
the
it, yeah.
diagram?
There's an existing flared end section there, very close to the edge of the curb. It's been like that for many, many years, but when we put a formalized walkway there, we really have to address it. So what we're doing is we're going to extend the pipe and continue with the discharge it's always been, and then there'll be an area of sort of a recovery area before it goes and drops down steep into the.
Okay, so that is that area that already drops down, it's
Yeah,
rock
it's-
around?
yeah, we
Okay,
need to move that
gotcha.
out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would actually improve the safety of the area. My other question is about where it terminates, kind of mid-block on Albert Avenue. That is the parking area for that park. And And that is one of the places we send people when it's a snow emergency, for instance. But seeing cars come in and out for game days, seeing the parking that's there on snow emergency situation, how much parking are we losing potentially with a path? And how dangerous is the situation of having the path and the parking be together?
We're still detailing, I just said we had to send the survey crew. We're gonna highlight the edge of that parking lot. And the idea was, we're tied into Royal Court, as you see where the intersection of Royal Court is. We can move it over the other side. We're just trying to save trees. So we'll be back there to discuss those details. Okay? Because,
Okay.
right now, as I said, until we get the trees located, it's hard to tell you where the trees are if the parking lot stops. Okay?
Gotcha.
Yeah, as it's drawn, it looks like it cuts right through the trees and not the parking lot, but I remember when we walked that after the one DPW meeting, it was a little rough over there as far as all the roots, and, we'll be able to save the trees or have to relocate the path.
That's right.
But I like the concept. Would that allow us to put a crosswalk there on Albert Avenue over to Royal Court in the future and mark that legally with accordance with like DOT standards?
Similar to the way we're doing on Hill Street, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah. They're implied crosswalks anyway, so if you stripe them, it's not a problem. They're sort of mid-blocks, but they're not mid-blocks, so, it can be done. These things are all, I can tell you, in many towns we deal with, some towns want this crosswalks, some towns don't because they have to maintain it, so it's interesting.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for that great presentation. That was the longest resolution discussion we've ever had. But very exciting to have another new addition to our park. So now we are voting on Resolution 252, 2023. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
All right.
So moved. All right, now we will move on to our reports. We'll start with the Department of Public Safety, Councilwoman Margaret O'Donnell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, this was a tiny print, put the glasses on report. Chief Kennelly asked me to share some information that there will be PSC&G related milling and paving work beginning October 11th, and anticipated duration is until October 13th, affecting streets as follows: John Street, School Street, East Church, Cottage Ave, South Street, West Church, Sherman, Scott, and Elm Place. And some of the other reports expected tonight may provide you with some additional detail on that. We got a Nixle notification out about other PSC&G work that's taking place on or near South Main between Lincoln and Washington, and work will be ongoing there for about 2 more weeks, it's anticipated. While driving in that area, please be careful of pedestrians, crossing guards, and workers. And one other item is we're working with a resident of Garrison Circle near the Van Loo Avenue Silver Line Gate for safety improvements in that area. The fire department extends a warm welcome to new member William McNiff, whose application was approved with tonight's consent agenda. And ending my report, telling everyone to look for all of our emergency services having a presence at Milltown Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Department of Utilities, Councilman Dave Potter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the Utilities Committee, I'd like to thank PSC&G for running a successful workshop on September 21st. We had several residents attend and have their individual questions answered by PSC&G representatives regarding the aging gas line project. As a reminder to any resident who has a question or a concern regarding the project, to please contact PSC&G directly at 1-833-661-6400 or visit www.pscng.com/gaswork. We will also be posting updates on the borough website under the newsflash section, and you can also find more information regarding the project in the Around Town section. For our water utilities projects, the work on Highland Drive is ongoing and close to coming to a completion, and the work on North Wilson project is set to start soon. And then also, as of yesterday, the transformer in the old DPW yard has been removed. Regarding EV parking spaces, Mr. Pietanza and I are continuing to speak with the company called Flow. We have a follow-up meeting with them in October, and as mentioned previously, all this information will be brought to our Utilities Committee soon. As far as the Planning Board, the last Planning Board meeting was on September 6th, and the next is scheduled for Wednesday, October 4th. Milltown 4th of July, the committee looks forward to seeing everyone at Milltown Day this Saturday. And Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Department of Public Works and Recycling, Councilman Rich Revelinsky.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councilman Potter, for stealing my thunder there. I wanted to talk about the transformers. Finally excited after several years that we got those transformers out of there and are taking one step further to cleaning up the old DPW and electric substation facility. As for the DPW report, one has not been provided for this time. We do ours typically at the beginning of the month, so I will have a report for you at the next council meeting. But I would like to touch base on two other items. The first, as liaison to the Milltown Library, Harvest Day Festival, Saturday, October 14th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have a lot of fun. There'll be a live petting zoo, pick your own pumpkin, pumpkin decorating, and kids crafts, as well as an apple pie contest. If you're interested in submitting a pie, sign up by October 12th at the Milltown Library. Winners of the apple pie contest and scarecrow scarecrow contest will be announced at the festival at 12:45 p.m. In addition to that, the Milltown Library wants to welcome everyone to their table on this Saturday, Milltown Day, September 30th, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Lastly, I have this evening, we've been following up with those, the architects who submitted RFPs for the work or evaluation over at the Schwendeman Cabin or the Schwendeman Homestead, soon to be the Milltown Nature Center or Schwendeman Nature Center. After careful review, I believe that it is in our best interest to select Element as the chosen professional for this RFP. Their 57-page submission indicated a strong history with historical bids and sites and buildings. They were the only ones who provided a flat rate as opposed to different dollars for different people within their office working on it at $108 per hour with an estimated time of 40 to 50 hours, resulting in a $4,000 to $5,000 fee for this analysis of the cabin, which hopefully will give us the opportunity to move forward on sound ground. All forms and paperwork compared with all the others, and they had all their work performed in that bid. They visited the site, and I spoke with Mr. Altman about the intent of the RFP, and confident he understands and will produce the analysis we're looking for to move forward. We discussed with him the possibility of a second phase of the report, should we desire more information or depending on what we choose to do with the information provided. And I believe that their rates will be affordable for the remaining grant monies as well. And with this, we should have a significant amount of money left from the grant to perform other works in the meantime to update the property and maintain it. So I know Ms. Larison isn't here tonight, but I would make the motion that for the next council meeting, we have a resolution accepting the RFP for Element and awarding the work.
So that RFP goes, oh, go ahead, Bill.
So, thank you, Councilman Revelinsky, for that great summary. But I haven't heard anything from Councilman Collins on his thoughts of the project and the RFPs that came in. So, John, do you concur with Councilman Revelinsky on his recommendation?
No, I'm sure we all have feelings on this, Phil. I don't know why you're coming to me, but.
Well, it's
You're on the
actually
committee.
you're the liaison to the Environmental Commission, that's why I asked.
Well, they want to start working on it. That we have the volunteer help
So that's great. So all of us were sent these RFPs on July 25th. And Ms. Larison said they're all in Dropbox, you can go and look at them. On August 12th, Ms. Larison reached out to all of us again to say, have you had any discussion? I took that email, sent it to Councilman Revelinsky and yourself, and asked, hey, can we get together to have a meeting? Mr. Revelinsky, Councilman Revelinsky stated that he had to still look over the RFPs. And yeah, some of them were like 56 pages, 7 pages, so I get that. But it wasn't until earlier this week when I asked, again, when can we schedule a meeting, when Councilman Revelinsky reached out to all of us to ask, I think we should go with Element. So we've never really actually had a meeting.
Is this going to be a public meeting or a private meeting?
The whole
Committee
purpose of setting up a subcommittee, which I volunteered to chair, is to have a discussion between the three of us, whether it be phone, whether it be in person, or whether it be via Zoom. But we never had that. So that's why I'm asking, do you concur with Councilman Revelinsky? Because it seems like
Yeah, I
Councilman
concur with him.
Revelinsky's made all the decisions without discussing with him.
Yeah, I concur with him. Maybe we should get this,
Did you look at the RFPs?
I believe I did.
You believe you did, okay.
There's a lot of information.
Council President Zambrana, did you look at the RFPs? And
I
do you
did.
have an opinion on this? I mean, they were provided to everyone on council, so.
I did look at all
We
of
can feel
them.
free to chime in now, and if we can't resolve it today.
So
and
the
have
best
a
thing
consent
about
agenda for
Element
moving
that I
forward.
will say is it has the lowest rate, yes. But the point is that we've never had a conversation about it. And I don't know if I hadn't sent an email early this week to ask where are we with this, might we not have had this report tonight? I'm not really sure. The point is 2 months have gone by. It doesn't take 2 months to look at the RFPs. Yes, I know it's a lot of stuff to
It's
look at.
been 3 years since we've done anything with the property.
True,
In fact, it
true.
was 2018.
True.
When we first made the committee.
True.
For the property, and nothing's been done. So I'm sorry if I took the month of August with vacations and other things for work to get back to you. So I'm sorry that we didn't get it done within your preferred
Is
timeframe.
it-
But I
is
hope
it-
that you would come to this meeting
Is it-
with some opinions on the RFPs that you've reviewed yourself.
Is it-
And a
is it-
suggestion for the
So
council.
are you saying this is too much for you?
No.
It's too much for you to handle?
Well, Phil, I agree with Councilman Rowlinski. Don't we take the lowest bidder? I mean, we're just shop around
You're
now.
missing the point here.
But that's the most important thing, is to get the lowest
But
price.
you're missing the point here, John. The point is that the subcommittee was put together. We do things by committee, right? I reached out to have a meeting, nothing happened. Additional time was given. You never responded to the emails, John.
I'm sorry.
Do I have to call you to read your email?
No,
Right
I'm
then.
sorry, I must have missed it. It's,
Well-
I did, actually, come to think of it, Phil, but my computer was locked up, so at the last meeting, I had to go in and call TK1 and have it repaired, because it was locked me out, so.
Right.
Is the intent of your comments to make a recommendation on the RFPs, or is it to just badger the rest of council for not communicating with you enough? I'm just curious.
I'm not
Because
badgering the rest of...
if you want to
I'm
have a
not
meeting
badgering-
about it,
I
we
mean,
can
I'm not
certainly
badgering the
schedule a
rest
call
of
this
council.
month.
I'm asking you a direct question, why it takes 60 days to review RFPs. You don't try to call a meeting, you don't try to collaborate. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Now, I just feel that the environmental committee wants to spend as little money as they can.
That-
I don't see why is there a discussion?
That's great. but
You
you're-
need a
you're the
meeting.
You're the chair of the environmental committee, and we haven't heard anything from you.
Well, I'm just saying, we go with the lowest bidder, that's the standard operating procedure. Why would you argue with that?
It wasn't a bid.
It was just
With the RFPs, we just go with the lowest person, that's all.
so you can maybe get together before the next meeting?
Yeah, sure,
And
yeah.
have a resolution
Yes.
for something
Yes,
to
exactly.
us to vote on?
Exactly.
You could sit down on the environmental meeting tomorrow night if you like, Phil.
Is it via Zoom or is it in person, John?
It's Zoom,
Is it?
yes,
Tomorrow?
tomorrow,
What time?
it's 7:30.
I might be busy at that time, John.
Sorry, tried to accommodate.
All right. Anyone else? Oh, no, that wasn't anyone else. That was Councilman Revelinsky. Do you have anything else in your report?
I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have the Department of Environmental Health and Social Services.
No report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Department of Parks and Recreation, Councilman James Peretti.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As pretty much everyone has already mentioned, Milltown Day is the main focus of my report. So, this Saturday, September 30th, Milton Day, 10 to 3 at Gloria Bradford Park. Hopefully this doesn't come to it, but the rain date would be the following Saturday, October 7th. Hopefully it doesn't, but with the weather we've been having lately, worth acknowledging that at least. But very excited for all the vendors who have already signed up. The communication should have went out to you if you haven't received advanced communication about the directions of when to arrive to do your setups and breakdowns. feel free to reach out to me directly or to the Revitalization Committee. Their email is revitalization@milltownborough.com. For all the residents, really exciting this year. We have more vendors, more food trucks, and more events than we have in any years past. Pretty much the entire parking lot will be filled with vendors and food trucks. We'll have some events in the ball field. We'll have a new vendor for some inflatables, a local vendor, and we'll have a return of an arcade truck for the children. There'll also be a fun chalk event on the new sidewalk that the Little League did leading up to Field 2. There'll be a fun chalk walk event there. And overall, it's going to be a really, really fun event. So it's a great event, meet a lot of Milltown businesses, support a lot of Milltown businesses, and nearby businesses, nearby community. But also, more importantly, a lot of the money raised there because the vendors, pay to be there because they know how important it is to the Milltown community. That money is used for Milltown revitalization to do improvement projects throughout town. The Milltown flower pots that you see up and down Main Street that are cared for meticulously. There's going to be some more dog bowls for encouraging walking downtown. Some exciting projects that are going to come out in 2024 are all funded by this major fundraising event. So make sure you go out, show your support, and encourage those vendors to come back year after year. And this is what really makes Milltown special. So please come out, show your support. How many times can I say that? But looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Right.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Hope to see everybody there. Show your Milltown pride on Saturday. All right, next we'll move on to the Department of Finance, Administration, and Planning. Council President Phil Zambrano.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a Finance Committee report tonight for Ford Avenue. The only news that I have from Ford Avenue last Tuesday was that the Executive Director, Rich Rodstone, submitted his resignation after 20-plus years as the Executive Director. So I believe what will happen is a search will be started to fill that role. Mr. Rodstrom has graciously said that he will stay on through the end of the year for a transition period, and by that time, someone will be hired, put in place to start on 1/1/2024. The Milltown Historical Preservation Committee meeting is this Thursday at 7:30, although there's talk about possibly starting it earlier due to some conflicts. We'll say that the back stairs at the front-facing building have been repaired due to a request from the members that was taken care of. Thank you to Jeanette and Ralph for sourcing the contractor for that and making sure that it was taken care of. And then my last report is the Milltown Senior Center. This update is for the upcoming month of October. Activities included aerobics, line dancing, chair yoga, billiards, walk aerobics, sweating with the oldies, and a monthly visit from the VNA nurse. As always, there is no cost for Milltown residents to see the VNA nurse. You do not have to join the Senior Citizens Club to participate in the Office on Aging programs and activities. The VNA nurse will be at the Senior Center on October 17th from 12 to 3 p.m. On Monday, October 2nd and October 30th, they're having social services bingo at 12:30. The Senior Center is bringing back Movie Day twice a month on Friday afternoons, October 6th and October 20th at 12 p.m. They suggest you bring some popcorn and join them on October 6th for the first movie, Waking Ned Devine. Just a reminder that the Senior Center will be closed on Monday, October 9th for Columbus Day. The Senior Center will also be, activities will also be canceled on Thursday, October 12th for the Middlesex County Flu Clinic. This clinic will be open from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The quadrivalent flu shot, not the Prevnar 13 shot, will be available. They will not be offering the Nunamax vaccine either. As always, if you have any questions or need any more information, please contact the Department of Public Safety and Health at 732-745-3100. Some additional bus trips. Wednesday, October 4th, bus trip to the Skylark Diner will be leaving. The bus will be leaving the Senior Center 11:30. October 10th, following Tuesday, there will be a bus trip to the Ross Department Stores. Bus will be leaving the Senior Center at 10 a.m. The following day on Wednesday, October 11th, there will be a bus trip to Monmouth Kitchen. The bus will leave the Senior Center 11:30 a.m. Following week, Tuesday, the 17th, there will be a bus trip to Delicious Orchards, and the bus will leave the Senior Center at 9:30. Tuesday, the 24th, there will be a bus trip to Ollie's Department Store. The bus will leave the Senior Center at 9:30 a.m. And finally, on Thursday, October 26th, there is a bus trip to Ciro's Restaurant, and the bus will leave the senior center at 11:30. As with all trips and presentations, there's a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board at the senior center, or if you're interested in participating, you could always call Debbie Cuddy at 732-296-0681, or register via email at dcuddy@milltownborough.com. As I mentioned in my senior center report over the last 2 months, Senior Center will be working on an online calendar that will list all the activities available at the Senior Center as an additional way to view all of the activities available. And my hope is that this calendar will be available before the end of the year so that anyone that wants to request the use of the Senior Center space can do so by checking online. That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Could I ask a quick question? Sure. I didn't hear if there were any additional DMV visits to the senior center?
I've heard that there might be a couple in October, but I personally don't know the days yet. But they'll probably pop up quickly
Excellent.
and be communicated out as soon as possible.
I know the residents appreciated those so much, and there's people who happen to miss it, heard about it later, and are anxious to hear about another one.
Okay. Next, we will move on to the report of the Borough Engineer, Mr. McClellan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few items tonight to add to our discussion that we had already regarding Albanello Park. The borough's water system improvements are proceeding as planned. We are pleased to report that Chestnut Street and Highland Drive have been activated and are on the new water line. We are in the process of setting up to clean and line the remaining parts of that water system in the area of the borough. Obviously, we've got a couple of locations to go through, get the air release valves to deal with, and the work on one more section over there where we have to readjust where the hydrant is. Work is proceeding, the contractor is moving along fine, and as you know, there was a recommendation for payment tonight to the contractor. West Foche Avenue plans are, we'll be scheduling a bid date very soon with them to meet the DOT deadline, so that's moving forward. The handicap ramps that we reported last month on last meeting actually, Hagen Batain, have been installed, and the as-built survey has been sent to the county for their review. And we're finalizing tree replacements on Clayton Court, and that's all our report tonight. Any questions, we're happy to answer.
Any questions?
Just one, as it pertains to utilities. I recall several months ago, we had a water main break underneath the turnpike.
Yes.
What's the status of that break?
The borough is in the process of retaining the services of a television contractor to televise the casing pipe. A, to determine whether the casing pipe is sound, and B, where the actual break has occurred. The difficulty has been trying to go through and get a contractor that can get down there. The area is very tight. Turnpike had some problems over there with access, so that's all been worked out. We have a contractor there, I think, last week, and hopefully we'll have a price for him to move forward at your next meeting.
Have we shut that main off then?
That main is shut off.
Okay, and that's the main one that feeds to the tank, or no?
No, you have two feeds, fortunately.
Okay.
The one on Main Street and also that's been a supplemental line. That line is older than me, actually, so it's been there a long time.
It's a little long in the tooth.
Yes, that's gonna be my new mantra, I know. But no, that one's been there for a while, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions?
Yeah, Mike, I believe we had a cost, did we have a cost for that months ago, and we approved that cost? So what's
Yeah.
going to happen if they come with another cost? What
The
do we-
difficulty has been getting the hole prepared, so that's what we're trying to do. So that we've asked them for a price to add that in because your forces have been, had difficulty trying to get that built for them.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. Thank you.
We will report back to your committee.
Mike, is there any way that you need to go through the turnpike to get them involved, and they've been accommodating in any way?
Well, I know when the line broke, there was a notice given to the turnpike, and they have not come back to us since. Right now, the line is stable, there's really no problems with it. So the water line's been shut off, so, okay?
Is it possible to just drill a new line underneath, or do they have other concerns underneath?
You know, there is, we're trying to tell you the truth, push the old line in and push the old line out, put a new line in.
If the casing's good.
Right. See, it saves you a ton of money, I mean, you know, it's, as you well know. So if we could do that, and you'd save a tremendous amount of money, so that's what we're trying to do. Every dollar counts, I know, right?
Mike, how deep is that water line below the turnpike?
Well, I'd say it's probably at least 10 feet, maybe more. Yeah. But you actually go back down and underneath, there's like a 10-foot drop in there, and then it's about 2 feet below the ground. So it's good, at least 10 feet below the turnpike. Yeah. Been there a long, long time.
Older than you.
It was older than me, John.
Older than the turnpike.
Been here longer than me, actually.
Was it there before the turnpike, or?
You know, I think it was. And you remember the turnpike long ago was a two-lane roadway, and obviously it's got to be what it is. But that was put in by, I think, the borough sometime, probably not long after you started your waterside, so early 1900s, I'd say. Yeah, it's been there a while. And it's in a casing, which is another nice thing, because the reason the casing's important, because you had a break, but it didn't undermine the turnpike, and that's why you do that. So, you know, but if we can save that casing and save you the cost of really drilling a new one and just push the old one out, but put a new one behind it, that's what we're trying to do. So it's worth the effort. Okay?
Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you. Borough Attorney, Mr. Vignolo, anything this evening?
Tonight.
All right, thank you. All right, so back to me. So I'd like to congratulate again the Milltown Little League, echo the excitement for Milltown Day, as well as the many other events that are coming up in Milltown in October. I know we have Oktoberfest and yeah, just a whole bunch of things, so please be aware. I did want to thank our Milltown Fire Department. I heard that there was an exciting rescue the other day, so, you know, kudos to the firefighters, the rescue squad, the Milltown Police. I had occasion to call for the rescue squad a couple of times in the last month, and the police came right out, and those young people on the rescue squad were phenomenal. So we thank them for all that they do. And now I'm going to share a little good news with you. So as you are all aware, one of the ticking time bombs that we have here in Milltown is our forced sewer main. We've talked about it for decades. It's over, Mike, what is it, 100 years old?
At least, yeah.
At least 100 years old.
1910.
We've had multiple breaks. It's going to be a really expensive project. We've talked about, you know, when I was on council, we had a couple of really bad breaks. And just for those that don't know, and I'll pass it off to Mr. McClellan in a second, but the force main runs out of Milltown, goes down past McDonald's and goes down George's Road into the New Brunswick treatment station. So since we had those big breaks about 3 or 4 years ago, we went to the county and said, look, this is really a hardship for Milltown. You know, we'd like to engage with the MCUA to see what we can do about repairing this force main. And if you'll recall, there was a letter that I read from the freeholder or commission director Rios, who said the MCUA will, let me just read it here, do the necessary engineering study, cost evaluation, and provide recommendations for the most effective solution long-term to this issue. And as you'll recall, the CME brought us several different plans, and the council looked at it and said that that you like the plan that goes to the MCUA directly. However, I believe, Mike, what was that cost, about 15 to 20?
15 to 20 million.
15 to 20 million, which would have been, you know, really tough for Milltown to do all alone. And it was part of the reason that we originally approached the county and the MCUA saying, you know, this is really too much for Milltown taxpayers and ratepayers. You know, can we partner with other towns or another group? Then, you know, COVID hit, and then we came along with, you know, still advocating for this is too big of a project for Milltown. What can we do together to get to the MCUA? So they have been, you know, looking into it, working with CME, and I'm happy to announce that I got a letter yesterday that said the MCUA is pleased to confirm that the alternative analysis addressing the rehabilitation versus replacement options for the force main has been completed. The next steps will be identifying funding strategies, completing the final design, and procuring the project. MCUA has directed CME to update the path forward, the schedule, and to fully define the remaining scope. The MCUA looks forward to working with you to complete this important project. I also want to take a moment and thank you for your advocacy and partnership in getting us to this point. So Mr. McClellan, if you can explain more about what the project entails and how we can move forward, and it's, as Assemblyman Karabenchek was here, it's our understanding that there's going to be a lot of infrastructure money coming into the county, which then the MCUA hopefully can use to help us with our project, correct?
That's correct. And we have been contacted by the MCUA and requested to put together a scope of services relative to the design and procurement of permits and property for the force main. You may remember, because there was a council resolution confirming the location, that it's going to run up Main Street down through the easement and all the way out to where the interceptor is for the MCUA. The benefit being, instead of sending it all the way to North Brunswick, then into New Brunswick, and all the way to Franklin, they can basically go right and short circuit the line. So we're pleased to get that information, and it's nice to hear it from the mayor tonight. It's been a project that we believe there was a potential that there was some benefit to not only Milltown, but also other people that are members of the MCUA, and it appears that that's where they're headed. Our job now is to finalize design, which is really, it's a conceptual plan that we have, and we have a plan and profile prepared, you may remember. But there's an awful lot to do. There's easement acquisition for the power company. You need to get under the Route 18, under a whole bunch of utilities. So there's quite a bit still to be done. But this is a move in the right direction. We're pleased to be involved in it.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. And obviously it's going to take a little while, but it's really nice to know that we have partners in this, that it's not just going to fall on all of us. And the other really good part of this is eventually, when this comes to fruition, then there could be a separate meter for your sewer, sewage rather. So people that I've talked to a lot are upset that they feel like they're being penalized because they're watering their lawn and they're getting charged. So eventually, when this project is done, there can be the separation between the water and the sewer, and you just actually would pay for what you use. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's great to hear.
Now we will move on to old business. Does any member of the council have any old business to bring before us this evening?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'll be remiss because it came up in a previous council meeting for the recreation director. The search is still in progress. We've had interviews. The personnel committee has been conducting interviews, so hopefully that is something that is proceeding, and we're looking forward to identifying the candidate sometime in the October meeting timeline and to get approved and get them appointed. So that's why some of the recreation reports are shorter, but looking forward to having a new person come on board.
But we're happy that soccer and everything.
Yes,
got off,
the
right?
fall,
No problem.
every fall sport's still kicked off, and the rec department is still running. We're just obviously looking for the new department head.
Yep, great. Anyone else have any old business?
Yes, two quick items, and Councilman Peretti reminded me also, I was just curious, and again, I wish our business administrator were here tonight, but perhaps anyone here knows the situation with our code enforcement official, that we currently don't have one employed. Are we utilizing the part-time services of the gentleman that was here but then left
For zoning.
for a different office? Because I know we approved that for a short time period. I was looking through my council meeting notes, and I didn't see for how long that was, so I just want to be able to reassure some residents that things are still being taken care of.
Yep, I think, yeah, to my knowledge, and when Jeanette comes back, she can confirm, for zone, it's not to hold up people that are, building a fence or a garage. Right, there is, we're
Well, what about
utilizing.
some of like the code enforcement
That-
situations that, it seemed like we were making some progress on cleaning things up in town, and, you have
I will
abatement in
tell you
30
that
days.
it was posted, and I believe we have, 2 or 3 resumes.
Yeah,
So
but the
we'll-
posting
we'll
period
get
is not
start-
closed
we'll
yet.
Be starting that very soon. And we did interview the rec people already.
Well, my second is, I'm super happy, I know Councilman Potter stole my thunder a little bit.
I apologize.
That's all right. I think
Councilman.
we're all excited about seeing those transformers go. But it just reminded me, we see those with the crane going out yesterday, and I'm wondering where we stand with the old surplus vehicles. over there. I had spoken to the chief about a month ago, and I know he had his hands full with a lot of the things associated with PSE&G work, but was looking into those. I think there was a couple of titles still outstanding, but I don't know if any of your planning.
I'd be happy to follow
Oh.
up if it involves the chief.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you had some update on that, that'd be terrific.
I could actually give you an update.
Oh. Outstanding.
Chief Kennelly and also DPW brought me a list of the vehicles, and they want me to pull the titles. I've just been tied up with getting food vendors for Milltown Day, poll workers, and, being here 3 weeks. So I do have a file on my desk from both police and DPW of the ones that are gonna be auctioned. I just have to go through the binders and pull the titles so that the listings can be made. So I'm hoping, I'll aim for the October 10th meeting to get the resolution. I can't promise that, but I do have them sitting on my desk. I just have to start pulling the titles and getting them done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Any other old business? Hearing none, I will close old business and bring new business. Does any member of the council have any new business to bring before us this evening?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I've got one. This was brought up to me prior to the last council meeting about the day before, and they were going to provide me with some additional information, but not receiving that, I'll just shoot with it. We had an organization that was interested in utilizing Michelin Field. And that organization was going to provide some of our baseball youth with either discounted programs. And a lot of the kids who are here tonight actually utilize this organization outside of Milltown at a pretty hefty fee. But what they wanted to do was a couple hours, I think once or twice a week for an extended period of time, say an 6-week period. It's my understanding that those fields are not currently utilized to the greatest extent possible, but to rent it for a day would just be cost prohibitive. So thinking further on that, I know we've got some residents who like to go out and have a night of softball, or even, for example, folks who would like to go out and play soccer. And I was wondering if this council would be interested to revisit our park fees and allow for hourly rental rates, and perhaps maybe a 2-hour minimum, something to the tune of like $60, so that this way we're not just opening it up for 1 hour and going back, but if folks wanted to play softball or things like that, and I think maybe it would encourage more people to utilize the parks on those non-peak times.
Did you bring that up to the Rec Advisory Committee?
I did not. We haven't had a meeting with the Rec Advisory Committee since the departure of our previous recreation director.
Okay.
And so, like I said, I was reminded to me tonight, or actually yesterday, by a member of the community, and said, have you heard anything further on this? And I believe it was brought up at one point, but
So
I wanted to get the council's feel
I would
for
ask
this.
Rec Advisory, also DPW to weigh in, because that would be under the, parks, and also the finance. So I would ask all three of those committees to just,
I can jump in real quick though. So
Okay.
I know at one point when we were looking at it was depending on when we do park rentals, we pay borough employees to either prepare or unlock bathrooms or what have you. So there's some fees involved there. So when we were looking originally at the hourly rates, like 1 or 2 hours, park rental fees, that being not covering potential expenses for opening and closing of a rental. If there's only one rental per day, and we had to pay DPW workers to do, before and after work, it would be somewhat cost prohibitive. If there's a minimum hour timeline or restrictions of if you're doing minimums and there's no bathrooms or no other involvement, maybe some contingencies, that's something we could talk about. But right now, as it is, the way we service park rentals, it wasn't prohibited. It was a little prohibitive with the shorter term durations. But that would be the conversation of, can we do it?
Yep.
If there's a give of, we'll lower the price for the shorter hours, there might be a take of, we're not going to give you as much services for that. So I think it's something that we could definitely kick around with, particularly with DPW. I think in the interim, they would be the ones most cost affected by it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
probably it would go with a combination of DPW. We can talk back to how much cost is involved with opening and closing, and we want to take that out, maybe we can figure that out. But
Yep, that
it would
would be
be, it would be
great.
that. I think really the labor involved was what was preventing any rentals like that.
Yep, that would be
So
perfect.
would that, can I ask a question? Would that be open to anyone?
Or is that directed towards me or
No,
to
and to
Councilman
anyone.
Brennan?
So, so.
For hourly rental?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, but is it just for Milltown residents or is it for everybody?
Well, I know right now we have a lot of our rental fees and recreation registration fees are associated with in-town versus out-of-town.
Okay.
This one I brought up in particular because it seemed to be a program that someone wanted to run on a routine basis. So it wasn't just a one-off on a Tuesday night that they'd be going and setting up, but you kind of build that rapport and that routine of going, opening up, turning lights on or whatever it may be, and then, shutting it down. It's the same thing for several weeks. So a little bit of a cost break there because they're offering then a cost break to the Milltown residents to utilize the program as well. So I thought, here's an opportunity to bring in a draw from even outside folks who might want to come in for that program. We're generating revenue on.
As long as it's open to everybody. I get
Yeah,
it.
we're generating revenue on the fees for parks that we're not currently utilizing. And you've seen the success tonight of the baseball groups
Yeah.
that we had. So to build upon that, I think would be something great. But I thank Councilman Peretti for bringing that up. And like I said, I've thrown it out there to see if council has a prerogative, because I don't want to weigh down the DPW or Recreation Department with conversations that this council might not be interested in approving at all, so. And it sounds like we've got some interest to
It wouldn't be the department, it
evaluate.
would be your other council people on the committee. Right, so I think you all, you share on both, so that would be great.
No, I think, yeah, and I'll say yes. I'll probably wait, if the people haven't remembered, Milltown Day is Saturday, if they have forgot already. After Ralph.
When is that again?
After Ralph is, and the DPW guys are a little out of the woodwork for that. I think that's a good conversation we have in the fall.
When's Milltown Day?
I think it's Saturday from 10 to 3. Milltown Day, Saturday, 10 to 3.
Okay. Any other new business?
Oh, yes, Mike, I had a question about that force main. That's gonna be gravity fed, right?
Forced sewer right out of the Church Street pumping station.
So we won't need the paddles anymore. They used to have a paddle system down at Church Street.
Yeah, some time ago, the borough changed the pumping station, and so the paddle system was not required anymore.
Oh,
You actually,
great.
it was the way the pumps are operated, that's correct, yeah, now it's gone. But yeah, you would basically tie the new force main into the old pumping station, that was the old, it's not.
I don't know, gravity fed, right?
That would force the sewer up Main Street, and then there's a ridge somewhere between your boundary line and closer to New Brunswick's line. And then it turns from there into gravity. That's right.
Okay, I see.
So
Thanks, Mike.
It's a very long line.
Actually, just, I heard in the mayor's statement there that there was a rehabilitation as opposed to replacement. Can you elaborate on that, or did I just mishear that?
It's gonna be.
That part of the.
It's a brand new line.
It's a brand new line, okay, good, all right. Because I was worried about capacity too, if Ford Avenue comes online, as well as the Acme development. Are we sizing appropriately?
Proposed at 16-inch right now,
So
which would give you excess capacity.
The wording of that was the analysis was rehabilitation versus replacement.
right.
And they engaged that it was replacement, and, good point that we're gonna need more capacity, which is another reason why we've been really advocating not to further burden this 110-year-old sewer line, so let's try and partner and get whatever help we can to move ahead with this massive project. So, anyone else have any new business this evening? All right, I will close new business and move on to public comments. The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the appropriate office during regular business hours or with a member of the council. Please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium. Yes, sir, right in the middle there.
Good evening, Russell Einbinder, 152A North Main Street.
here for two things right now I want to comment on, actually just inform you. First of all, thank you again to everybody that showed up last week's Council Candidates Forum. A lot of you are here in the room tonight, and I see both our candidates for tomorrow evening's mayoral forum will be right here also. The actual taping and record live presentation will be at 7:30. If you have questions you want to ask, please get here a little before 7, and by 20 after 7 at the latest, we're going to do the last question and take them from you and ask any appropriate questions that we can, that we have time for. We actually went a little long last week, but it was worth it. We got some good information from people, and that's what we're here for. Just so you know, we have a new moderator, so everybody, you can thank Jason Kahn here for doing that. He got a wonderful guy from Eagleton Institute. He's one of the directors at Eagleton, as Professor Richard Lau, wonderful man, and I think we're going to like him as well tomorrow night. Very pleased that he is helping out Milltown. And the other thing I wanted to mention, everybody, is this weekend I will be there at the Milltown Day. You might have heard of that once or twice. Yeah, I've been there once or twice too. And they've selected me to do the PA and the DJing and all that fun stuff. So if you have any questions or requests that day, come see me. I'll be the tent right next to the July 4th tent, or either right next to the Lions tent, or one of those, because everybody in this town, especially people in this room, wear about 6 or 7 different hats that day.
There you go.
See you there.
Well, I hope we can move the executive session in this meeting along so I can get home tonight and get my beauty sleep, so I look good on camera tomorrow. Yes, Debbie?
Debbie Miller, 92 Ford Avenue. Every time I raise my hand, my husband's like, "What are you doing?" But it's all good. Though I don't have any personal concerns about the Public Service Gas Company project, my husband and I decided to attend just to get some education from it. And I have to say, the representative was very informative in telling us about the project and about the lining and why they do it this way and how many feet away from this it has to be, as well as how they have to cover it and, do a temporary fix and then wait for it to settle and then do the permanent fix. So thank you for that. And the second thing, I want to wish you, Mayor, and candidate George Mayor a good debate tomorrow.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Alan?
Good evening, Alan Godber, 4 Fern Place. You may recall at the last council meeting I got up and talked about bike tour that we were going to do. Well, obviously it rained on Saturday, so as we know, it's been raining ever since.
Yep.
So we were not able to do it, so we've rescheduled it for Saturday, October the 21st. Same time, same place.
Okay.
And there's some flyers I've already put outside.
Thank you.
And Alan, you're doing the electronics recycling this weekend?
Yes, we are. Yes.
You want to remind people where and when?
I don't remember the hours of it, but I guess it's the recycling is to be placed near the open space behind where the Lawrenceburg Watershed Partnership building is.
For those at home, that's
Just
up
there,
by
up the hill.
the Four
Yeah.
Boys Ice Cream.
There's a parking space behind there, and you'll see that it's marked out, and any recyclables can be placed up there, and then Public Works will take them away.
Electronics recyclables, right?
Electronics recycling.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Alan, if you give me that, I can have the board outside updated for you with the information.
Anyone else? Yes, George?
So Gary asked me to actually come up and read this, if I may, and then I could sit back down and come back up for my questions if you want.
I hope Gary feels better.
So, Gary Ponzanski, 31 Cleveland Avenue. Good evening. Gary would like to thank the moderator, all of those involved in putting on the 2023 Candidates Forum for people in Milltown. To make a wise and educated decision regarding choosing your candidate is the ability to listen, to hear both sides is very important. Try to educate yourself and choose the people that you feel best represent the interests of yourself, your family, and now, and in the future. This is especially important for early voting begins. Please don't forget, your vote counts. Use it. Then if I may, George Murray, 4 Brook Drive. I had a couple questions, Mike, just for the bike path for Albert and Hill, especially with this weekend's rain. On the corner there, there's I guess it's 6 or 8 inch that comes down from there, open-ended. This weekend, it was like a river heading towards the basketball courts and onto the soccer field, so I don't know if there's any considerations for that.
Well, we're going to move it away from where the walkway is. The drainage, though, is really just the road drainage. It's been going that way for many, many years. So, but we're going to try and move it away so that the wall can be constructed. We can basically level out the grade a little bit so there's a recovery over there.
Excellent, thank you. And this one, I know it's a gray area, but I had some questions as far as the indictment of the code enforcement official, and I know I'm not going to get too involved with it, but...
Usually no labor, so.
Yep.
You were aware.
Yes, so I don't know if the borough has taken any steps to verify that this hasn't happened to any residents in Milltown as what occurred down in Ocean County to the residents there. So I don't know, because I know he came highly...
We're aware he's been terminated, and we will do our due diligence for sure.
Okay, because I know he came highly recommended from what Council President Zambrana said. I don't know...
George, to be clear, he was the only applicant.
But let me say this, so he was indicted, and I'm not going to get into it.
Yes. Yep.
Let me just put it this way. If you hire me for a job and you fire me and I go out and rob a bank tomorrow, I'm not going to come back to you and say, hey, how come you didn't check to see if she was a bank robber, right? So, you know, we hired somebody that we thought was qualified for the job. He's been, you know, it's over and done with. But we will do our due diligence to check on, you know, Milltown's residents for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Frank Manku, 21 Durst Drive, Milltown. Just wondering, it's a kind of a new thing for me, but one of my neighbors, more of an acquaintance, but his wife, Karma Bigletti, was one of the longest standing employees. And it was mentioned, and a few people were just talking about it, of how do we go about getting one of those renaming signs that maybe gets on some of the streets. I've seen that. Or is there any kind of like a
you mean like
program plaque?
Honorary sign?
Yeah, just something.
So we did one just last year for Mayor Bradford. She lived on South Street, and it's a request. You know, I don't know how often we've done that. There's a few others, but you know, it's certainly something that you could put into what is it? The DPW, maybe to request.
DPW?
I mean, the question is, and definitely, you know, there's some, you know, but we can't have too many all on the same street, right? Because then once you do, then you could have everybody coming and saying, hey, I want this one on, you know, for my kid's birthday or whatever, right? But yeah, I mean, I knew her, I know her husband, and she was a crossing guard for what?
If, in order to like request that or start that, is that the Milltown report a concern or question?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Jerry Cotter, 280 South Main Street. The only reason it got me down here is the first time I ever came down in my entire life. But I heard we're referring to this mill pond and the pollution. Where Berger was trying to separate the pond from the main property. Is there any truth to that?
None that I know of, but.
Okay. And also, the pollution that was that they have there years back. See, I just want to have the people realize, I don't want them to forget. And as far as council goes, the DEP went in there when nobody would want to take that job. They went in there and said, well, we'll clean it up as best I know. The people that are on the boards should know the answer to it. And they wanted to do the job, and then they would charge Berger or whatever. And I don't know how many people know about the backhoe that went down there and sunk in the black tank. But the fact is, I don't know why they went down where they did, the ramp right by the concrete wall. This is like 8 years ago, maybe?
When they had the spill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got pictures of it, but I'm in the process of trying to get them enlarged and finding a third party who has better pictures. If they were looking for that vat, the vat being a wooden, they don't, in those days back then, they don't make steel tanks back there. They don't have a truck that can carry that on the road. They don't have a bridge that can, they make vats, and they do the same thing like on a house with tongue and groove wood, only it's 3 inches thick, and they make these vats. I was inside one with a backhoe in Trenton. It was the old Roebling wire rope thing, and they were turning it into a parking lot. But this, I don't know what the reason was, how they thought they were going to clean that up by driving the backhoe down the ramp that's right alongside the concrete wall. And they went right through it. And all that black stuff, that pollution, I call it black shiny licorice pudding. That's the only way I can describe it. I've never seen anything like it. And then they brought in a second backhoe. First of all, they didn't know what they were doing in that area where the water is. You work off of wooden mats. They drove down there like they're on Main Street. Inexperienced totally, my opinion, but I know. I had 50 years in operating heavy equipment. And the point I wanted to make is that right from the beginning, even the second guy that came down there, I don't know what he was thinking. Because I was off that day. I hung around the bridge in the park behind the rescue squad, and another person, which I'm trying to contact because they had a real good camera, and they would have some nice pictures. But a second backhoe was brought in to get this guy out. Well, what's he do? He pulls right up alongside of him to talk to him. Boom, he goes through. You don't have enough sense to not go that far down? I mean, incompetent people, I'm telling you. But then they got that third one in. But he was up on top with a long cable over top of that concrete structure that the railroad cars used to back up on. And they got the backhoes out. They had to pull them on the boom because they're at angles. They had to pull them from the boom, get it straight, and work together one by one. They got the both of them out. But now, this stuff is nasty looking. They got it tracked all the ways up to the chimney. They take it up to the chimney, they hook up to that fire hydrant, and they hose it all off. All that, they made a mess out of somebody that could have gone down there with mats, and you pound the ground with the bucket ahead of you before you move ahead, and you do it systematically. And you would assume, or later, put a hole in the thing, and you have one bucket of mess. That's it. What happened was, now that they had all that black stuff tracked out of there, it's bad enough what went in the hole, and now they brought in about 8 or 10 dump truck loads, tandem loads of some kind of material from a long distance, looked like sand, I guess. They covered up that's all up on top by the chimney. If you take a shovel, you should be able to go down about 1 foot and find a layer of black in there, what they have tracked up, because they washed the machines off up there. I know this story is getting long, but there's a reason for it. They washed them off, the guys in a white suit, and after they got them clean, they were taken out immediately. They didn't want no part of it. I don't know how, I never saw them leave. I just wasn't sitting there all day, but I was there from beginning to end. The point I'm trying to make is, the DEP doing this work, this is a big undertaking. Oh, that's the other point. When I heard about dredging,
Oh,
talking about dredging.
that's what that came up just a couple meetings ago.
Yeah,
right?
the thing is,
probably-
that's gonna be a very big undertaking, because one thing's very important. There were no rainbow colors in the water. Like when oil drips into water, there was no rainbow color. All that toxic stuff just came up, and as the dozer pushed the sand into these vats and built it up enough, it was a small, fairly small dozer, that's all filled up down to what you see now, where the weeds are growing. You dare not want to walk around in there.
Yeah, so that came up as a question, right? You recall. And so I don't think there was any imminent dredging plan. There was just more of a question of,
Okay.
going
Well,
on.
What I'm getting at is the DEP should put up some of that bill for the stupid moves that was made out there. That's all that mess, what's under the water that you can't see will be found out. But what they did, they caused that. That's all pretty much what I wanted to hear out. Because
Thank you, Jerry.
I flew off the seat at home when I heard it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close audience comments and move on to council comments. Anything further that anyone on the council would like to bring up this evening?
If we could just double check on the posting of the position, I didn't see it on the borough website for code enforcement.
Well, we got 2 resumes, so I don't think that they have ESP.
I see, let's see, part-time secretary for construction.
All right, we'll look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not up there, so.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, I'd also like to echo your congratulations to the Little League 10U and 12U District 10 champions as well.
Yes, that was very, very nice to have all those young folks here this evening. Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say, thank Mr. Dave Potter for the, getting the transformer removed. Do you know when Public Service is going to finish up parking there so we can?
Well, I can answer the question. Right now, we're still looking to finish the project. So project's going, right now, they're saying till October 31st. So-
October 31st, so we can see what we can do with the old building then, I guess, after they get out of there. And, oh, I had another question. Peter, have you heard anything about the street renaming research?
Still waiting on,
So for the HRC, so we basically, the renaming is, the HRC is not interested in essentially doing a renaming as in, open submission and to be anything, it's be Hague. It is going to be, because it's one continuous street. Really what the HRC is looking into to support the borough is alleviate any burden to the residents. So the name would be just as it kind of logically would. Hague and Batane is one road. It would just be a continuation of Upper and Lower Hague for differentiating for directional purposes, but the HRC committee is only looking at to support trying to make sure to get ahead of any potential financial burden to the homeowners on what is currently Batane and hopefully formerly known as Batane. And that's where the committee is focused on right now, just trying to cross the T's, dot the I's of make sure what are the costs, and then have that submitted to the borough of this is what they would need to do to make sure all their forms are up to date, all their documentation is up to date. And then that way the borough can go right to the resident and say, this is everything that you would need to do in response to this change. And hopefully the borough can also offset those costs. That's kind of where the committee is focused right now. Not necessarily the name is Hague. We're focusing on the implications of once it changes. If that answers your question. I think that was your question, right, John?
If we have that and it's been taken care of and it's just X amount of dollars, would that be a resolution to change the name?
It's an ordinance to change the name.
Ordinance, okay.
Yep. The ordinance itself, I had indicated at a prior meeting, the ordinance itself is a very simple thing to do, but the ramifications of the ordinance are the things that we're trying to get ahead of before we do something and impact residents and don't have answers to the questions.
And
for
we've
that.
had multiple studies. I'm sure other people have done it prior that can share, but.
And that's what we're just trying to make sure, like, we don't want to think we have everything and then unintentionally, something silly like, oh, we forgot to tell you need to change your driver's license. Obviously, that's on the list already, and then the resident being unnecessarily inconvenienced because of that. So trying to make sure we have all that set up, so once the ordinance, it just immediately flows through properly.
Could you possibly not get junk mail?
I'll put that on the list.
There's some benefits for it.
Junk mail will find you always. That's
That's the only thing I'll.
Anyone else, any more council
I'd
comments?
just like to say congratulations to our baseball teams also. They did a great thing for Milltown and themselves and their parents and everybody.
Anyone else? All right, we'll close council comments, move on to mayor comments. I was going to move it along, but I just was going through my purse and I found a donation that somebody gave me to give to the fire department. I did a wedding last night, and I just wanted to share with the public that it's, one of the best parts of the job being mayor, to help couples start a new life. And, there's no charge. A lot of them do make donations to the rescue squad or the fire department, so I'm pleased to always pass that along. Last night was the 6th wedding that I have performed here in Borough Hall in a month. So lots of love going around Milltown. And it was particularly gratifying. We were the only town that had our Borough Hall open, and I was the only mayor during COVID, during the lockdown, that did weddings. So we had people that couldn't be with their families and FaceTimed in, and it was really nice. And I just want to thank all the folks that make donations, and they're all, very excited to be new homeowners or start their new lives here in Milltown. So just a little FYI of fun stuff going on here in Milltown, besides Milltown Day, which is this Saturday from 10 to 3.
September 30th.
That's this Saturday?
I think.
Just check.
this Saturday.
All right, with that, no beauty sleep for me, because now we're going into executive session. So will the clerk please read the executive session resolution?
Authorizing executive session pursuant to statutory exclusions of NJSA 10:4-12, whereas the matters to be discussed relate to a statutorily excluded topic pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, specifically litigation, whereas this may be disclosed to the public at a time when the necessity for confidentiality no longer exists, or within 6 months or less from the date thereof. Now therefore be resolved by the Borough Council, the Borough of Milltown, as follows: that the Borough Council shall retire into executive session where the public shall be excluded, and where said matter shall be discussed and formal action may be taken with regard thereto. That the minutes of this executive session shall be closed from public inspection and shall so remain until the reason for confidentiality ceases to exist, or upon formal action by the Borough Council at an official meeting within 6 months or less.
Okay, so the council will be entering into executive session. The public will be excluded from this portion of the meeting to permit the council to consider matters appropriate for discussion in such a session. The council will briefly convene into the Borough Conference Room, and we'll return back here to an open session. Council reserves the right to take action upon returning to the public session. At this time, I'd like to defer to our Borough Attorney, Mr. Vignolo, for an explanation of the subject matter to be discussed.
Again, the subject matter is pending litigation, and it is not anticipated that the council will be taking any action when it comes out of executive session.
Perfect. May I have a motion to enter executive session?
So moved.
Wow. I couldn't get, who was that? I have a motion by Councilman Collins, second by Councilman Potter. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins. Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Okay. So we will go into executive and then we will come back. Thank you for joining us. I don't think we're having any more.
Going into a closed session.